Right now, former President Barack Obama and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz in Madison, what they had to say to voters with less than 2 weeks until the election. Also, the polls are open for anyone looking to vote early. We heard from locals on why they're casting their ballots today. And as Madison stares down a multi-million-dollar deficit and a referendum vote, why city officials say the state is to blame for the problem. You're watching News 3 Now at 5. Former President Barack Obama with a visit to Madison alongside Kamala Harris's running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, on the same day that early voting begins in Wisconsin. Our team coverage includes Armand Rahman outside the Alliant Energy Center where the event happened within the last hour or so. And Jalen Banks is in Fitchburg. He's talking to voters as they wait in line at the polls. We start with Armand, who heard from the duo speaking at Alliant Energy Center in person this afternoon. Armand?
Eric, the two Midwestern Democrats spoke back-to-back Walz for roughly 25 minutes, and President Obama, in his first visit back to Madison since 2012, he spoke for about 45 minutes. Now, you might be wondering what the purpose is for Obama to come to such a Democratic stronghold like Madison. His main message today is for voters to take any feelings of frustration and fear they may feel in this election cycle and put it into getting not only themselves to the polls, but others who may be hesitant out to vote come November.
He said January 6th was a day of love. Hey. You're going to hear this from me. Do not boo. Vote. They can't hear you boo. They can hear your vote. That's the way to send a message.
Now, it's an appeal that Madison Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway tells me can work for voters here who may have felt disconnected this election cycle. Now, I'll hear more from those voters later on tonight on News 3 Now, as well as Madison Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway. For now, reporting live outside the Alliant Energy Center, Armand Rahman, News 3 Now.
Armand, thank you. Former President Donald Trump's campaign reacting to Barack Obama's visit. In a statement, Team Trump Wisconsin said, quote, "And while it'll probably be a slightly less unhinged affair than what other Kamala surrogates are doing to move the needle, an Obama visit isn't going to convince Wisconsinites to vote for another 4 years of open borders, rising prices, and disaster at home and abroad." Trump campaigned today down in Florida, talking to Latino elected officials and business leaders about the economy. With today being the first day of early voting in Wisconsin, we have a crew at the polls with voters waiting in line. Our Jalen Banks is outside Fitchburg City Hall. Jalen, were there a lot of voters there today that you saw?
Yes, Eric, there have been tons of voters here. I've been here throughout the day since about 10:30, and I can tell you that the parking lot has essentially been full. People doing the standard, creating their own parking spots at times, not necessarily parking where they're supposed to be, but there's been a steady flow of people in and out of this facility here. Right now, as far as I can see, the line is so long that people are leaned up against the doors, the entrance and the exit. So if people continue to show up, they're probably going to start making this line go outside into the parking lot. But Wisconsin is just one of many recent states to kick off early voting here in the country. Some important swing states across the country that have started their in-person early voting includes Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Georgia. They've already had their early voting in person underway. Now, AP is reporting that across the country there have been 17 million early votes that have been casted so far. That includes mail-in and in-person. Now, I had the chance to speak to one early voter here in Fitchburg. Here's what they had to say.
Didn't want to stand in line, but I ended up standing in line anyway. So,
if you were to have come on election day, how much longer do you think that line would have been as opposed to the first day early voting?
probably 2 hours.
If you plan on voting early in person, you have to vote within your municipality. And poll workers here have been saying that the wait here at Fitchburg has been 45 minutes to about an hour. That's been pretty consistent from people that I've spoken to throughout the evening. Tonight at 6, we'll hear more from some early voters. But for now, I'm going to kick it back to you.
All right, Jalen Banks live in Fitchburg tonight. Jalen, thank you. The cool down has begun for southern Wisconsin. Kelly on the weather patio with more on our fall-like temps out there. Kelly?
Yeah, definitely not the near 80-degree temperatures like we saw yesterday. Of course, we had more cloud cover and even a few light sprinkles move through the Madison area. And all we're picking up right now on radar 3000 is a couple of blips of green over there in Jefferson County, north of Fort Atkinson, south of Watertown. These have been very light. They've been moving from southwest to northeast. We had a few of these move through Stoughton. Even Madison, we had a few sprinkles just a couple of hours ago, but now that's ended. Visible cloud track, well, I won't be able to use this much longer because Sun will be setting in under an hour now, and you can see how we're losing that. But you can see we are starting to see a little bit of clearing off to the west. We're seeing that clearing starting to take place here in Madison. 65 with a southwest wind right now at 5 miles per hour. That southwest wind keeping us mild, but we are looking at some cooler temperatures tomorrow because we have a cold front that'll be arriving after midnight tonight. That'll bring in some winds and cooler temperatures. And it looks like as we go into Thursday night, that'll be a better chance to see more widespread rain and some beneficial rains, at least for some. Definitely not going to bite away at our drought, but at least giving us some rain, some hope for some rain anyway. Looks like we'll get a little bit more stormy going into much of next week, especially the later part of the week. 65 in Madison right now, 66 in Waunakee and also Middleton, 65 in Fitchburg, 65 right now in Madison. Temperatures in the lower 60s. We'll still have the southwest wind continuing this evening, but as mentioned, that cold front arrives tonight. Temperatures will tumble tomorrow. Talk more about that rain chance on Thursday and how much we can expect coming up.
All right, Kelly, thank you. Our 3 for the People coverage continues this week as we dig into the Madison city referendum. And today we look into why the city is blaming the state for its money problems. Our Elia Liberté breaks it all down.
$22 million. That's the deficit in the city of Madison's operating budget. And that's the amount it's asking voters to make up for. But why is that number so big? Inflation, population growth, state funding. All factors Madison officials say are causing the city to go to referendum, which could impact city services like libraries, trash and brush collection, and more.
Cost to keep those services going costs more than how much we can increase our revenues to pay for them.
David Schmidtke is the city's finance director.
Well, the legislature has placed strict limits on how much the property taxes can increase each year, and that increase doesn't keep pace with either inflation or how quickly our community is growing.
Those limits date back to 2011, when the state put levy limits on what local governments could collect. This has put Madison into a deficit every year since. Then in 2021, the city received federal COVID relief funding to help keep services going despite a drop in revenue. But this year, Madison won't receive that federal funding and is facing the worst deficit it's seen in over a decade.
Well, it's the worst we've seen. Some of it's the aid, but some of it is inflation, and then the fact that those limits that are in place by the state legislature.
Madison Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway says passing this year's referendum gives the city time to lobby the state government to fix issues with the state's funding formula.
The legislature basically set up a formula so that Madison receives the lowest amount per resident of any place in the state.
But former Mayor Paul Soglin says the conversations with the state are overdue.
I see no reason why the people of the city should be punished for the combination of the bad financial practices of the last 5 years combined with the inattention to working with the state government.
But both sides agree that something needs to change. Tomorrow, we'll continue our 3 for the People coverage of the city referendum. I'll talk with one department about what they could stand to gain or lose if the referendum does or doesn't pass.
Ellie, thank you. And if you're still curious about what the referendum will mean for your bottom line, you can head to channel3000.com where we walk you through what the referendum is asking. We do have some breaking news at this hour. Police are investigating a death at the Hy-Vee store on Whitney Way on Madison's west side. We just found out about this investigation within the past 15 or 20 minutes. That death was reported at 3 p.m. today. Again, the Hy-Vee grocery store on Whitney Way. Police are there now. We have a crew on the way, and we will keep you posted. Next at 5, we now know the name of the man killed after a shooting in Sun Prairie. The Dane County Medical Examiner's Office identifying the victim as William Flannery of Brookfield. Late last Friday night, Sun Prairie officers were called to Martin and Elm Streets for a report of shots fired. There, officers found Flannery and another victim. Flannery was pronounced dead at the scene. The other person taken to a hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. No arrests have been made. If you have any information about the shooting, you're asked to call the Sun Prairie Police Department or Madison area Crime Stoppers. A Darlington man is dead after a weekend crash near Janesville. Saturday morning, Rock County Sheriff's deputies were called to North River Road at West Highway 14 for a crash involving a tractor. The driver of the car, Kevin Bahe, died at the scene. Deputies say Bahe was driving eastbound when he hit the westbound tractor. The tractor's driver did not require any medical attention. It is Teen Driver Safety Week, and experts are providing tips to parents to keep their children safe. In 2022, more than 2,500 people were killed in crashes involving young drivers ages 15 to 18. Experts say teaching a teen to drive safely starts before they're even old enough to get a license. Parents need to set an example for their child, and once they're old enough to get behind the wheel, teens should practice as much as possible with their parents next to them in the vehicle.
Don't text and drive. always buckle your seatbelt. Make sure that when you're driving, you are paying attention to the road and you're not participating in risky activities like speeding or tailgating. We also know that things like parent-teen driving contracts can make a huge difference in keeping teens safe.
Those contracts are a way for parents to set rules and expectations for a licensed teenage driver, including night driving restrictions, restricting passengers, prohibiting phones and devices while driving, and requiring seatbelt use at all times. After the break on News 3 Now at 5, Kelly rejoins us. He'll tell us when we could warm back up in the near future. And conflict continues to escalate in the Middle East, what the Biden administration is doing to broker peace between Israel and Hamas. Plus, another mixed day on Wall Street, a slight 7-point drop for the Dow. The Nasdaq rises more than 33. Meanwhile, the S&P loses almost 3, and we'll be right back.
You're watching News 3 Now, brought to you by Cardinal Heating and Air Conditioning.
My husband and I were elated to find out that we would be having another baby. But after many tests, my doctors agreed that we had to terminate the pregnancy. It was the worst day of my life. You should know that Eric Hovde supports laws that stop me and my doctor from making that decision. And that's a ban with no exceptions in cases of rape or incest. It's a ban that could turn doctors into criminals. He opposes abortion, period.
Win Senate is responsible for the content of this ad.
Eric Hovde has a problem with the truth. Time and again, his ads have been called false. He's a desperate candidate, willing to say anything. But here's what's true. Eric Hovde has a plan to slash Social Security 28%, Medicare 25%, veterans benefits 40%, all to spend $4 trillion on tax breaks for rich guys like himself. Eric Hovde's lying, and he's not for us.
I'm Tammy Baldwin, and I approve this message.
A flood of illegals, skyrocketing prices, global chaos, and Kamala wouldn't change a thing.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
Nothing will change with Kamala. More weakness, more war, more welfare for illegals, and even more taxes. Only President Trump cut middle-class taxes, and only President Trump will do it again.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Trust your feet to Morgan's shoes.
Why Nout? Why not? Feel the comfort and durability of Nout footwear at Morgan Shoes. Nout shoes and sandals feature full-grain leathers in a multitude of colors. Nout's cork and latex composite insole is designed for daily comfort and support, and they are made to last. You'll enjoy Nout's luxury. Shop Morgan Shoes Hilldale for your next pair.
Comfort with style. Trust your feet to Morgan Shoes.
Morgan Shoes Hilldale.
It seems like everyone in Washington is either too far left or too far right. I'm Rebecca Cook, and like most folks in Wisconsin, I'm somewhere in the middle. I'll stand up to Democrats to fight for a secure border and stop wasteful spending. I'll stand up to extremists like Derek Van Orden, who wants to ban all abortions with no exceptions. Like you, I'm fed up and ready for change. I approve this message because it's time that we sent one of us to Congress.
When it comes to your critical medical decisions, you should have the final say. But extreme politician Joan Ballweg says you're wrong. She supports criminalizing abortion even after rape and incest. Or to save the life of the mother, Ballweg would jail doctors for giving life-saving care. And Ballweg even wrote the law that could deny women access to birth control. Joan Ballweg would put extreme politicians in charge of your body and put all Wisconsin women in danger.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Israel for his 11th visit since the October 7th attacks last year. This latest trip to the region, another push to reach an elusive ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas. The Biden administration sees a new opportunity for peace after Israel killed the Hamas leader blamed for engineering the terror attacks. But with the U.S. presidential election just 2 weeks away, both sides in this war appear staunchly unwilling to compromise.
For many, many, many months now, Mr. Sinwar had been the major obstacle to getting to a yes. Of course, time has passed since then, and there need to be continuing conversations.
Beyond Gaza, a senior State Department official said Secretary Blinken is also stressing the need for a diplomatic solution to the Israel-Hezbollah conflict. Recent Israeli strikes in Beirut's southern suburbs hit a building opposite the capital's main government hospital, killing at least 13 people, including a child, wounding 57. That's according to Lebanon's health ministry. Several former GOP officials and government attorneys are urging the Department of Justice to investigate Elon Musk's $1 million sweepstakes. The billionaire says voters in battleground states who signed his Political Action Committee's petition are eligible for the daily prize. In a letter to the DOJ, the group of officials warned this new tactic could be illegal. Federal law prohibits anyone paying people to register to vote. Well, over the coming days, temperatures will hover in the 50s and 60s. Also a chance for some showers. Meteorologist Kelly Slifka with the details in our full firstborn forecast. Kelly?
Yeah, we tried to get some rain in here today, but it just kind of fizzled out as it moved through southern Wisconsin. Yeah, we had a couple of drops on the patio, maybe upwards of a tenth in extreme southern Wisconsin, but that was about it. Now we're going to have to wait until Thursday night to get a better chance of widespread rain. Just taking a look at our radar 3000, just a few blips of green showing up off to the east in Jefferson County, near Jefferson, headed toward Oconomowoc. Everything's moving to the north and east. So we're done with the chance of rain here in Madison tonight. And it's going to be turning cooler tomorrow because we have a cold front that's going to be sliding through after midnight tonight. That's going to stir up some winds and bring some of that colder air. And then we're talking about another system that's going to move in fairly quickly and out fairly quickly Thursday night. So it'll be mainly hitting us in the overnight period. But it looks like everybody has a good chance of seeing some rain. Some might not see quite as much as others, but at least we do have that chance of rain. And it looks like it will get a little bit more stormy toward the middle and later part of next week, and we'll talk more about that coming up. Here's that weak area of low pressure, just the rain just kind of racing out ahead of it. There's a cold front that's going to arrive after midnight here in Madison. That'll kick up some north winds. It looks like most of the rain with this front is going to stay in central and northern parts of the state. It's not going to really amount to too much, but it will definitely bring us some winds and also some cooler weather going through tomorrow. So we've had these southerly winds now the last several days, keeping us on the mild side. Take a look at midnight, though. You see those winds off to the west, up there at 20 miles per hour. That's that cold front moving through the Adells here, Lone Rock, around midnight. Should be hitting the Madison area just after that. And we'll have these sustained northwest winds up there at 10 to 20 miles per hour throughout the day tomorrow. So it's going to be a breezy day and quite a bit cooler than where it's been. So temperatures today in the 60s will hold in the 60s this evening because of that southerly wind. We won't really see that cool down until we get in the wee hours tomorrow morning. You can start to see some of these 40s showing up there in Camp Douglas and Black River Falls. That cooler air continues to move southbound. So starting out low 50s, but we're only getting in the mid to upper 50s for most areas tomorrow afternoon, but that's a little bit more seasonable for this time of the year. As far as our future track on Thursday, now Thursday we might get a frost in the morning, but then we should get sunshine and warming us up in the 60s. Wind switching back around the south. What we're watching is the storm system coming in from the west will increase the cloud cover Thursday evening. Rain really holding off till about 9, 10 o'clock. For western counties, over there toward Viroqua, Grant County, Boscobel may see some of these, Richland Center, Madison area, probably around midnight or so, seeing some of this rain moving through. And then it moves on all on to the east as we wake up Friday morning. As far as rainfall amounts, well, just depending on where you're at. Right now, this computer model has the higher amounts, maybe upwards of a quarter to a half of an inch in central areas of the state, lesser amounts to the south. However, some of our other computer models have a little bit more to the south. So we'll just see how that pans out, but everybody at least has a pretty good shot for some rain. 70 in Camp Douglas right now, 65 in Madison, 66 in Janesville, 63 in Mineral Point, and across Dane County, everybody in the mid to upper 60s. So our first warning forecast, we do have some frost possible tomorrow night. Then we're talking about that rain Thursday night. Clears up just in time for Friday. Weekend looks pretty seasonable with sunshine and temperatures in the mid to upper 50s, warming up to the 70s, but it does get active by Tuesday night into Wednesday. Still remains to be seen about Halloween, whether or not we'll see rain. A couple of uncertainties with that, but we'll keep our eyes on that toward the end of the week. Take a look at our first warning traffic. I want to get to the belt line. It's been very busy down there. Some of these speeds down to about 7 miles per hour, both eastbound and westbound, only at 14 miles per hour. So much of the belt line, pretty heavy traffic this afternoon.
All right, Kelly, thank you. And later on News 3 Now at 5, helping people with disabilities, the post-high school program teaching local students valuable life skills.
News 3 Now First Warn Weather is brought to you by Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor.
Discover a shopping and design experience as comfortable as the furniture. Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor. Schedule your free design consultation today.
Sarah Kieski, she supports lifting revenue limits, allowing property tax rates to skyrocket unchecked. Kieski's backers want to ban natural gas to heat our homes, driving utility bills through the roof. That's Kieski's record, expensive and extreme.
A flood of illegals, skyrocketing prices, global chaos, and Kamala wouldn't change a thing.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
Nothing will change with Kamala. More weakness, more war, more welfare for illegals, and even more taxes. Only President Trump cut middle-class taxes, and only President Trump will do it again.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Make fall cleanup quick and easy and get an 11% rebate at Menards. Works Outdoor Power Tools have everything you need to maintain your yard. They're perfect to get the job done quick and easy. Get this Works Tri-Vac electric leaf blower, vacuum, and mulcher for just $79.99 after rebate. Or pick up this Works 20-volt cordless string trimmer edger and leaf blower combo kit for $106.79 after 11% rebate.
Save big money at Menards.
These Baldwin ads are nasty.
I can't stand them.
She never tells the truth. Now she says Eric Hovde wants to raise the retirement age.
That's malarkey.
I saw in the news Social Security will be going bankrupt in 8 years.
Are you kidding? We need Social Security.
You're surprised? Washington spends money like crazy.
And Baldwin supports all of it.
I'm Eric Hovde, and I approve this message.
You better get a job.
You get a job.
How extreme is Todd Novak? He thinks a woman's most private medical decisions should be up to him. Todd Novak has a 100% anti-abortion rating. He supports letting politicians ban abortion with no exceptions for rape, incest, or to save a woman's life. And Todd Novak authored the law to ban abortion here in Wisconsin. Elizabeth Grabe will defend abortion rights. She knows private medical decisions are between women and their doctors.
This is a hallway. Doesn't evoke much feeling, but to those facing cancer or a complex condition, it feels like relief. Because all the doctors, treatments, and technology you've been fighting to find, they're all right here, under one roof, connected by hallways instead of highways. East Park Medical Center, coming soon. UW Health, remarkable.
Sarah Kieski, she supports lifting revenue limits, allowing property tax rates to skyrocket unchecked. Kieski's backers want to ban natural gas to heat our homes, driving utility bills through the roof. That's Kieski's record, expensive and extreme.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
Updating our earlier breaking news, police investigating a death at the Hy-Vee on Whitney Way. Our Ellie La Liberté is now live on scene with more. Ellie?
Yeah, Eric, we were learning just a couple of minutes ago from the police department that they are investigating this as a death investigation now. Apparently, a death investigation was about 3 p.m. when it was reported. There's about 5 police cars here right now. And there is a clothes and shoes drop box right next to me that police appear to be investigating. Now, this is an active and ongoing scene. We'll continue to keep you updated as we learn more. But for now, reporting on Madison's southwest side, Ellie La Liberté, News 3 Now.
We'll try to get more updates as the evening progresses. Ellie, thank you. It has been a busy day once again in Madison. Former President Obama in town alongside Kamala Harris's running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, who spoke ahead of the former president. Political reporter Will Keneally joins us now. He is live out near the airport. He has more on Governor Walz's message for voters today. Will?
Eric, that's right. We've been following the Walz-Obama we've been following the Obama-Walz motorcade throughout the day here, even as, for example, the former president had to switch planes. He had to drive up from Chicago, departing from a different plane here in Madison. Now, again, this comes as an intense focus is on Wisconsin this election cycle. Certainly, Minnesota Governor and VP candidate Tim Walz will be back in the state on Thursday again. Both Walz and Obama in Wisconsin today, marking the start of the early voting period for Wisconsin voters that they can go into different polling locations to vote in person early. Now, we heard, again, kind of the stakes of the election that Governor Walz laid out earlier today. Take a listen.
We're still the underdogs in this, and we know we're going to leave it all on the field.
Wisconsin, you got same-day voter registration, and it's open today to get there and vote. We need you door knocking. We need the calls. Even 1 or 2 extra votes per precinct will be enough to win this thing and send Kamala to the White House.
Now, again, Governor Walz laying out the stakes of this election. Now, we heard again from other notable speakers, celebrity Bradley Whitford, a Madison native, kind of rallying the crowd to talk to those stakes, saying, again, that there are just essentially 3 votes per ward that would sway the election. Now, again, we just saw Governor Walz's plane take off about maybe 20 minutes or so ago from the Dane County Regional Airport here, and we'll continue to provide you updates throughout the evening here. But for now, reporting from the Dane County Regional Airport, Will Keneally, News 3 Now.
All right, Will, thank you. Next at 5 October is Disability Employment Awareness Month, and it gives us a chance to highlight a local program helping young adults with disabilities. Our Kyle Pazorski has more.
It's here inside this Cross Plains Culver's where there's a smiling member of the team learning some valuable life skills. His name is Ben Kells, taking part in Cardinal Academy, a unique post-high school program designed to develop students' vocational, life, and social emotional skills. Tommy Wynn is his job coach.
He loves to work, and he loves to do his task. He's always has high positivity, high energy. He always makes my day with jokes and all that.
Wynn shares the program's goal.
That our goal is to build so that he can be independent in the future.
What's your favorite thing to do here?
Turn out the ice creams.
Serving ice cream?
Yeah.
Ben has worked at the Cross Plains Culver's since May of this year, with manager Jennifer Romine telling us that Ben is a vital asset for the restaurant.
Ben is awesome for our team members, as well as it's good for our team members to work with kids like Ben, and he learns a lot from them, and we learn a lot from Ben. So it kind of fits both ways.
The Middleton Cross Plains School District says the Cardinal Academy program works to help each student gain the skills they need to lead more independent lives and thrive as adults.
Ben is great.
In Cross Plains, Kyle Pazorski, News 3 Now.
Kyle, thank you. And we're back with a final check of your first warn forecast after a short break.